Welcome to the Holding Time podcast, where we share inspiring stories from remarkable mothers who participated in the Holding Time project in Bradford. Each episode, we explore their unique breastfeeding stories, the highs, the lows, the challenges and the triumphs. Whether you're expecting, a new parent, or simply curious, we invite you to hear from these resilient warrior women as they share their experiences. Find out more at holdingtime.org.
Hi, I'm Gwena.
You live in Bradford?
Yes, from Bradford. Lived here on my own.
So you've got two children.
Got two, yep, 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. 3-year-old boy and a 1-year-old girl.
And how was it with the first? Because that's usually the biggest jump into the deepest water is the first one, isn't it?
It was. I mean, I, lucky enough, I've always had such a great network.
And you've got a close-knit family, haven't you?
Yeah, we're very close. That anything that was new was never as daunting or as scary as maybe it could have been. I think with my first, I think it was a lot of excitement, a lot of, don't know what to come, which then later becomes, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on, losing that sort of control. I mean, the pregnancy was grand in a sense of I just really relished in it. The whole, look at me, I'm changing, my body is, and I'm growing a human, it's what we've wanted. And I got pregnant very quickly with my first. So it was very like the stars have aligned and we were really positive. And then I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes, which was a lovely dampener. And then I just became this zombie. Your husband probably has different adjectives to describe me, and I was just getting grateful myself. And this whole idea of, when you're pregnant, you eat what you want and you take comfort in food. Well, that wasn't petite for me. But it was, and I found that was my biggest challenge, managing what I'm eating, because I did it with diet to begin with. And then I was put on medication, and you just feel like a failure. I never knew about gestational diabetes until someone said to me, well, you've got gestational diabetes.
I mean, the clue is in the name, isn't it? If you've never been pregnant, you're not going to know anything about it. And you wouldn't know that you'd be susceptible to it either, would you?
Well, they always say Asians are more likely to get it.
But I've known women of all different ilks have gestational diabetes, and it makes the birth more complicated as well.
So it meant I couldn't have a water birth, I couldn't have a home birth. This was during COVID. So although I'd had it organised to have a water birth at home, I then strongly swayed to not, and got a lot of sort of medical professionals in my family, my sister-in-law, husband, my brother, where they said, maybe for you first, go to the hospital and then we'll see. If the stars align again, we'll see. And took their advice, and I thought, well, I am a bit of a grumpy one at the moment, so maybe I will listen to some people that have my best interest at heart. And I mean, it all went really well, and I don't like to say it because I know a lot of people have it really hard, but pushed for 45 minutes and he was here. And I didn't have anything other than a bit of gas and air, which made me feel a bit sick. So I didn't really have much of that either. And then as soon as he was born, I had to do 2 heel pricks on him, and his sugars were fine. He said, yours will be fine too, and didn't really need to think about it again, and had fish and chips, I think, that night. You know what you already wanted the whole the pregnancy. Yeah.
Finally.
Well, thank you so much. And then when the nurse came in, would you like some tea and toast? Yes, please. Any sugar? 2. Please. I was like, yeah, you can go for it now. But I mean, it was great in that sense. But with it being during COVID and the lockdowns and everything else that was going on in the world, my boy was born at 6:15, and whilst I'd got wheeled to the war, it was around 11, and my husband had to go. So I spent the first night, I didn't sleep because I was terrified, but I stayed awake all night just watching my baby born, just sleep where. And I think we're lucky we had video call. So we've got images, screenshots of my husband video calling me and looking at a boy, and he was ringing me, and my boy came very early. He came when we least expected it. I thought, we've got a few weeks to go. He come early, and nope, that was incorrect. They had just washed his clothes, had them all out to dry. My mum had been with me all morning. I was on the phone to the deputy head at the time, just planning and prepping things for my maternity leave. That mum goes, oh, I'm just going to go pick your sister up from school. Around 3 o'clock, this was, oh, I'll be back in 20 minutes. Yeah, no worries, mum. Lay on the sofa, hear the loudest pop in the world. Nice gush of water. It is hip-hop happening. Luckily, husband works around the corner, so quickly rang him up, please come down. Rang the hospital, told them, and they said you'll be fine.
And what about afterbirth? How was that? Because it does sound like a lot of alignment of stars.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know,
to the arrival point. Then that's the sort of bit that you're kind of prepared for, isn't it? Even if it's early, but there's the bit afterwards that we tend to not be ready for.
Like I say, I mean, I was so lucky we had this. Everyone were around, and we've got the Ring doorbell where I could hear everyone coming and going at the house, and where someone putting up the banners. And it'll be a big surprise. Well, I don't know if they know this, but I totally knew what they were doing.
Because you could see it on your phone.
I could see it. I was just like, what? Who is at the house?
That's so sweet.
Yeah, but it was also, I mean, I think only a handful of people know this, but my husband and I were upstairs in our ensuite in floods of tears when it all happened, because we were just so overwhelmed, saying, what do I do now? They're all going to go, we're going to be left with just this.
Is that after you've come home with the baby?
We'd come home, yeah, so I'd had to stay overnight, and my husband had to be booked in, and the second he was in, we were saying, we're going to go, if we can go. And I said, yeah, that's fine, discharge you, we're straight home. And then everyone were over, and they couldn't do anything more. Eat anything, can I make anything? Are you hungry? And it was beautiful in that sense. And it was just by absolute sheer chance that my brother was coming home. He lives in London, so he was on his way the night I gave birth. Really nice, because I had an extra one of my best friends, my brother. And when they said, all right, we're off for all of the evening meal, I was like, what is going on? I think my biggest hurdle after pregnancy was all pregnancy had been told, you'll just know what to do. As a mother, you'll know. Your motherly instincts will kick in. And a few weeks down the line, when he's crying, you're crying, and your husband's on the floor rubbing your legs going, we'll get through this, And I'm saying, I'm supposed to know what to do, that you feel like an utter failure at that point. And, you know, that's one of my earliest memories of pregnancy, because I just remember sitting there thinking, I do not know what to do. I've changed the nappy, I've fed him, I've burped him, I've changed him, I've done everything I can do, and he's still not happy. And we're sat here at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. I'm tired, you're tired, my boobs are leaking. What is this? What is? No one tells you that truth, and it's not anything to scare anyone. And me and my husband made this pact where we will tell people the truth. Something. I bled for weeks afterwards. I was wearing these nappies because
you mean
afterbirth. I no one tells you any of that.
I thought you meant from your nipples.
Oh no, my nipples.
I mean, that wouldn't be the first.
Them truths.
Oh yeah, the afterbirth. The afterbirth. So unprepared for it.
No one tells you.
It's strange, isn't it, how little we know about it. It's like a period that just goes on forever.
Yep, it does not end. And luckily my husband bought me it was like they're just easier to whack them on, whack in, and just pop a new one on. I think, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who can be bothered with pads and things, and tampons would just completely get all soaked up. No time for that.
It's next level kind of level of fluid, isn't it?
Something else.
There's a couple of times I've met men in the supermarket whose wives have just given birth, and they're like, what should I buy? I'm like, okay, you see those huge ones.
Most comfortable.
What's the biggest thing they've got in here? Or possibly just babies' nappies, or in fact just adult nappies. Really.
I mean, I swear by them now. Anyone that's pregnant or anything, I swear by. Please just grab a few. They are a lifesaver.
Yeah.
And again, going back to the identity, I think the other thing was looking at myself then in the mirror, and your whole stomach hasn't gone back to itself. It's a completely different, like my mum explained it.
It's never really the same,
It's never the same. She was like, it's like a door. It's the weirdest sensation. You're looking at yourself like, this is me now. Your darker nipples, king. And
it's
just, you lost yourself, that you think, I knew what I looked like. I know myself, my body. I knew me. And now I look at myself like, I do not know who that person is. This is the person I'm going to have to be. But you put yourself on the side because there's a little one crying who needs something else.
I mean, in a way, when you give birth or when you're pregnant, you're actually becoming a new person, aren't you? Like physically, you have stem cells and stuff going.
Have the same breed
and also the baby cells are going into you. So you're exchanging cells. And so you're really not the same person afterwards. Like physically, you're not the same person. And I always remember the strange feeling of like leaning over and just things around my lower body just were in different places. It's really strange. Like my hips were wider and have never gone in again. It's like they're permanently wider. I never really had a waist, and then I had a sort of more of a waist, but then like you say, there's doughy mass that you don't lose it. And actually the softness of a mother's body is partly what I remember loving as a child, is the softness of a body. This aspiration to have this athletic, youthful body is very pre-baby. It's an idealization of like women pre-birth. After you've become a mother, trying to aim for those sorts of things is really pointless, isn't it? And you're not physically going to be able to do it.
No, and nor do you have that drive, because I wholeheartedly appreciate what my body went through in order to give me two beautiful children. I cherish that, and I think it's a lot of thanks I should give to my body, really, that you don't again hear about. No one really does say, oh look, when you're going to lose your body, baby fat, and your baby's however many months now and all this. And I feel like, not that anyone's ever said that to me, because they know they would get maybe a shoe to the face. However,
but that's the sort of thing that was
in
in
society. Yeah, a lot of that.
Victoria Beckham was weighed on live by Chris, what's his name?
A man, obviously.
After having a baby. I mean, that sort of thing is, I don't know, it's all that sort of body shaming and everything. And she clearly has an eating disorder, so she doesn't really need more stimulation in that area.
But
it's I think it's a bit like a tree grows and every year puts on extra rings and gets bigger. You don't think, well, let's try to, in a way, trying to make our bodies go back is like coppicing a tree. It's like stunting it, because there's a natural, beautiful pattern that it's going to grow according to. And if you have babies, then your body is growing in this whole new way that's protective as well for you, and in that way protecting your children. So the idea that you want to pretend that you didn't have those children and act as though they don't exist, and all of that, I think it's like a hangover from the aristocrats who had wet nurses and nannies.
Yeah, well, you didn't see any of that.
Yeah, I had a baby, but someone else can look after it, and it's going to be over there, or maybe even in a different country, or definitely in a different house, certainly on a different side of the house. I mean, who wants to raise kids like that?
No, not at all. And it's not
fulfilling, is it?
No, it's not what your lovely instincts want.
I don't even know if those women wanted that. I mean, there might be some women who do want to do that, but then you sort of think options exist now for women who don't feel very motherly. They can not have children, or they can have maybe children. Like a lot of people that didn't have a strong instinct of children, I know, have ended up with children through marriage and so on. Like, there's lots of kids out there that need caring for, aren't there? Even if you're just a great auntie. I mean, that's a really brilliant way to show love and be in children's lives, and children really need those adults. So there's less pressure to be a mother if you don't want to be. But if you want to be a mother, then to have to try to force yourself back into a little box that fit you, it's like trying to wear shoes that are too small.
Well, yeah.
You're just crippling yourself, aren't you?
I mean, I've got a sister, she's 9 years younger, and I do say to her, it's up to you what you want to do with your life, but do not get sucked in this idea of you have to have a child, you have to get married.
Yeah.
Because there is so much out there that do not feel that this is the box that you need to be placed in, because so many other people are in this kind of box. And I think it is coming with change and a lot of not having as much society pressure and cultural pressure, which I feel like my mum's generation must have had to, she's been married for so many years, once she had a child yet.
Like, you're abnormal if you don't.
Yeah, that. I've got married now. Right, the next question is when you're having children, which nowadays is not the case. All my friends, I've got a lot of friends, some are married, some are not, some are travelling, some are houses. They're all doing different things that you celebrate that. And I'm really lucky I've got 2 children that have these adults in their life that are doing so many different wonderful things that they're not just going to think, going to get married at this age and I'm going to have children, that, oh, actually, my auntie's doing this. Maybe I want to do this when I get older. Oh, my mum's best friend's doing that. Maybe I want to do that. Where we are not conforming to society now.
I know. I hope that we don't start to see a kickback in terms of the drop in birth rate.
Yeah.
Because I think I start to see it like very faint on the horizon. Like I can see that there's going to be this. I'm not sure what form it will take, but it's a sort of reaction against women working. Most women need to work unless they've got partners with very lucrative jobs. So that's not actually anyone's fault, but women working, and I don't know, I can see that women are choosing to have fewer children. I mean, statistically, if you've got a degree, you're unlikely to have more than 2 children. Education is the biggest contraceptive. So if they want to reverse it, they're going to have to just create a situation where women are disempowered again. And I don't think that we can go back to that. I hope not. So then it's like, well, how do we move forward?
We're already seeing it at work where we've gone from a 3-form entry, or we're reducing to a 2-form entry because we know of the drop in the births. But, you know,
it's about consolidation, isn't it? And actually putting resources elsewhere. And then I think also with things like AI, there is actually going to be maybe a change in work in terms of how many people we need to do jobs. But then, of course, there's still the issue of who's going to pay taxes, because I don't think robots will.
Really? I mean,
there needs to be a new tax system, really, for a technological age where
they're constantly changing, but yet we've still got a lot of older systems
models,
which don't actually fit anymore.
I think the models are going to have to change, because the idea that it's just like this army of kids who grow up and go into jobs in factories like our grandparents, etc. It's like the factories are gone, first of all, then people retrained and they got into whatever work they could, generally often less good quality work. And now it's like, well, maybe not even the work's going to be there. Like, really, we have to find some other way of getting national insurance paid and paying for the NHS. I mean, I don't know. It seems to me quite obvious that if a technological age has brought that about, that means that fewer people are making more money. So it makes more sense that those fewer people should pay more tax. I mean, that's the only solution that I can see. Getting them to do it will be another thing.
Another thing, absolutely.
But I think that's the model that we need to move towards, because it's much better to have fewer children that you look after better.
Yeah, and
it is a complex world, and children do need care. You can't just chuck them into it and hope for the best. I think.
I mean, we're lucky enough that we've got support. People have got nurseries where they can put their children in to go back to work, or they've got family where they can go back to work. But again, life is just revolving around going to work. I mean, as a teacher, predominantly it's women, and we end up getting penalised and so many years behind, because after I've taken a year out on maternity, you've not progressed in your career. And then you feel so bad that, actually, I've had my own children, but I've actually had this group of children, these 30 children that I'm also been looking after, that you're torn, but things just, it's hard. I mean, I'm lucky in a sense where I only work 2 days a week, do Mondays and Fridays, and my mum has my children on a Monday, my husband has them on a Friday, and work have been so great that they allow me to come to work start later on a Monday morning, where I can do the drop-off. I can drop off a boy to the nursery, where you don't feel that you have to choose. I can be mum, do the breakfast, do the drop-off, go into my teacher head to do my teaching, to look after my other 30 children, to then leave them 30 to go back to my other two. That somehow we are trying to make things work, but whether or not it's sustainable, whether or not it's going to go any further, I have no idea.
What advice would you give to someone getting pregnant for the first time that thinks there's just setting out on that journey? What would you say to them, or what do you say to them?
I mean, a lot of my friends, I say, do not lower your expectations. That's not what I say. I do say, don't put that added stress on yourself. When it happens, it'll happen. Getting pregnant, it'll happen when it happens. And then being pregnant, it's 9 months. It's not a long time where these changes are, yes, forever, but this journey is only these 9 months. And you're going to have some ups and downs on the way. The first trimester, the nausea, the sort of the sleepiness, God, the sleepiness. We're coming home from work and just falling asleep, and my husband would look through the window to check before opening the door to see she asleep or she awake, because I would just be so tired. That second trimester, you've got the energy, you feel more like yourself, but that third trimester, when that creeps up on you, it's going to hit you hard again. It's a journey, and it's your journey, and there's no right or wrong. Just be kind to yourself, because a lot of your times you're second guessing, you're worried, you're anxious, that you've just got to really look after yourself, really. And that'd be my biggest thing.
And when you were breastfeeding in Bradford, was there anywhere that you liked to go, like particularly in terms of, would you breastfeed in public?
I would, yeah, man. I think is cocky the right word? I'm not sure what the word is. I did it in a sense of, yes, I'm doing this, and yes, I want to make it seen. I want to make it normal. I've never had it where I've ever felt uncomfortable. I know a lot of people have. And I've never had this idea of covering up or anything, because this is my child and my child is hungry, and that is all. So I've always going to the local coffee shops or going into the supermarket. One arm latched on and the other arm, right, what do we need for tea?
You would just breastfeed everywhere?
I would breastfeed anywhere and everywhere.
Would you have a sling?
Yeah, we did have a sling. I got that a little later on. And so with my second, I've been using that a lot more. That I know how to use it, but I didn't have it with my first. So it's
Your second one is a year and...
She's a year and she'll be a year and 5 months. Yeah, she's born in June.
So she's weighty to carry in a sling.
Yeah, she was.
Do you carry her on your back?
Her in front. We went tropical yesterday. I had her in the sling, and then I've got a ring sling as well, so I can hold the toddler as well. Although she's a toddler now, but hold my eldest so I can hold them both. And, yeah, I think in public I've always never really shied away from it. I've always had my husband there who's been like, you, baby seat. You feel uncomfortable, I'm here for that. But we've never had that. If anything, it's always been the opposite. I wrote a poem about it, how I had a lovely lady come and squeeze my shoulder, an elderly lady going, well done. And she will never realise the impact that had on me. And she will not even know she's part of my journey.
Yeah, there's this secret underground kind of nods and smiles and assurances that women give to each other that's really nice.
And it was lovely. And I said to my husband, like, I want to be her when I grow up, because I want to empower other women who've had it difficult or who've not really been as encouraged as I have.
It is about courage, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just...
I think courage and hand-holding is a really big part of supporting women with breastfeeding. That's increasingly what I've realised is hard for the health service to do, because you need it all the time, or at least like doses of it daily. And they can't be there to do that daily. So we have to do it for each other somehow.
And help. Well, the biggest, as much as I hated being in hospital when I was born, and I hated being alone, the best part of it was, as he was getting ready to feed, I would press for a nurse who would come and check the latch and show me different positions. Lie down and feed, sit up this way, try the other way, rub the ball, all this, try this with a pillow here.
That's useful.
Was so invaluable. So it just... amazing experience that I then got to transfer that home, where I know a lot of people would have just kind of discharged and off they went and just had to figure it out.
Yeah.
And what are the tools you use to find out? I mean, I never had to sit on YouTube or anything, but that might have been someone else's story, and then therefore it might have then been the reason why actually I can't continue this journey. And I was lucky enough, I had that support, and I've had my husband who's always been supportive, everyone's been supportive. I've always had all of that, where no one's ever really put a negative spin on me. I was able to breastfeed my first one for 2.5 years. And then those 2.5 years I was tandem feeding.
I was going to ask about tandem feeding. Are you tandem feeding?
Currently, no. We allowed him to wean off himself.
2.5 is the point where they start doing that.
Yeah, it was ready. He was in his own room. He had, in a space of a week, he had potty trained. He'd started sleeping in his own room, and he stopped breastfeeding. He just was ready. And I think for me, again, going back to that, don't put pressure on yourself. I didn't put that pressure on myself. You want to have it? That's fine. We're out at a party.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Everyone's family and friends here. And if people aren't, that's not my business if they're
And you don't realise how much you're imprinting on to all of them the sort of idea that this is normal. You're normalising it, and so you're educating everybody in the room, and then that has a knock-on effect, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Even
to think, I was speeding one day, I want to try it. That it was something, or it's a conversation starter even. I've got male friends who sat in the room with me who not got married, don't have other halves, but, I've allowed them to ask the questions. Ask, what are you curious about? I'm here. Looking over and like, come on, we're all family here. Ask the questions, because you never know when you might be in this situation.
Yeah, and honestly, the ignorance that you find yourself in is so debilitating, isn't it? If you haven't really had the opportunity to have those conversations.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the little question, oh, does it hurt? And I'm like, no, oh, okay. Does it tickle? How does it feel inside? And then slowly they started asking a few more questions. I'm like, I'm an open book, I said, so I'll tell you what I know and how I feel. Where you might not have these questions, but actually you've had these answers, where in a few years you decide to be with someone who ends up having a child, who ends up breastfeeding, you already got that knowledge.
Well, what's lovely about this project is once we do the portrait, then that goes into the labour ward and around the family hub networks. And it's really a nice way for just ordinary women to see someone else that they can understand with a Bradford accent, sounds like them, that is just talking about this in a really sensible way. It's not staged in any way. And that's why I think it's so important getting the story behind the picture as well. Thank you for listening to the Holding Time podcast. We're grateful to everyone involved in this project, including our partners and funders, Bradford District Care Trust and Arts Council England and Better Place Bradford, and all the incredible mothers and families who made it all possible. For more information, visit holdingtime.org. The link is in the episode description. Please like, follow or subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and consider sharing this podcast to help raise awareness and support for breastfeeding.